All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Thrive Call. Again, sorry for rescheduling it. It is every single Tuesday at 7 p.m., but I had some important things come up and I had to reschedule it to tonight. So just know it will be on Tuesdays, 7 o'clock every single week, but we're just changing it up this week. But tonight's topic is going to be powerful because I want you guys to understand that everybody goes through obstacles in their life. We talk a lot about, different tactics and different skill sets and, mindsets and things like that when it comes to winning in this business and winning in life. But I think, one thing that is missed a lot is understanding that even if you have the perfect mindset, even if you have all the skill sets, even if you have everything that it takes to win in this business, you're still going to go through trials and tribulations. You're going to, hit those speed bumps. You're going to have obstacles. You're going to have things thrown at you that you were not expecting. And so this call is really to share my story with you guys from day one in this industry, where I was at when I got started with network marketing, about, what year is it? 2022, 7.5 years ago, right? 7.5 years ago, I got started with network marketing. And, I want you guys to just know my story from A to Z and some of the stuff that I've been through and the lessons that I've learned along the way. And so, first and foremost, it's important that you guys realize that in life, when these curveballs, do come at you, you're going to have to just roll with the punches. You're going to have to just get up and go. So many people are waiting for the perfect time in their life to go all in. They're waiting for the perfect situation, right? Well, when I move here, I'll be ready to go all in on the business. When this happens in my life, I'll be ready to go all in, right? You've probably heard that from some of your prospects even. Oh, when this happens, I'll be ready to get started. So you got to realize that life is always going to happen, guys. You're always going to have things that are thrown at you day in, day out, week in, week out. And you get to decide if you're going to be a problem solver, right? We talked about this on multiple calls, but you get paid, right? The size of your check is in direct correlation to the size of the problems that you can solve. So if the problems are always bigger than you, you can never solve the issues. You can never, be bigger than the problem and find a solution for it. Then understand that you're always going to be limited when it comes to your paycheck. But if there's no problem that is too big, there's no solution that you can't find, then I promise you, you're going to get paid whatever you want to get paid. Because the size of your check is in direct correlation to the size of the problems that you can solve. And no, it's not always been easy for me. I've had a lot of problems come my way. I've made a lot of mistakes. But I think just understanding that that's what happens in life and that we're all human and it happens is very important and crucial to your growth. I mean, you have to understand this, that you're going to make mistakes. You're going to mess up. And if you're tiptoeing around this business and you're tiptoeing around in life, trying to not fail, trying to not make mistakes, I promise you, you're never going to win. It's never going to happen for you. The people that fail the most are the ones that win the quickest. Write that down. The people that fail the most are the ones that win the quickest. Why is that? Because they now understand what not to do. Right? People always say that there's, Thomas Edison, who created the light bulb. They say, oh, he found one invention that worked. He made the light bulb once and it worked. And the reality of it is that he just found 10,000 ways that didn't work. I don't know if you guys knew that. Thomas Edison, who created the light bulb, he went through 10,000 different ways of creating a light bulb that didn't work. It didn't light up before he actually found the one that did. And so you can't be afraid to fail in this business. You can't be afraid to fail in life. Be okay with making mistakes. And even better, recognize when you do make mistakes. This is a big problem that I see with a lot of people in their life is they mess up. They make mistakes and they don't own up to it. They're like, no, I didn't do anything wrong, right? I didn't make a mistake. I didn't fail. Well, guess what? If you make a mistake and you don't own up to it, then you never learn from it. And so for me, I've always, tried to be a very humble person, that whenever I do mess up, I am the first one to recognize my fault and grow from it, because I know that's a learning opportunity, right? We talk about this in trading, right? You don't take your L's as losses, you take them as lessons. And it's the same thing with this business, and it's the same thing in life. Every single thing that you go through, you need to treat as a lesson, whether it's a very tiny, minuscule problem or one of the biggest problems that's ever come across your plate. You need to understand that you have to come up with solutions and recognize that you maybe made mistakes and that you have a problem in front of you, in order for you to grow and find a solution, right? If you don't recognize it and you don't actually take responsibility, there's no way that you're going to grow. And so I wanted to just start the call with that, because you guys have to understand that a lot of my story and a lot of this call is going to be about overcoming obstacles, and that you have to play it where it lies. And that was the topic of this call, is play it where it lies. Because if any of you play golf on this call, it's okay if you don't. You guys should probably all know this rule in golf, that you have to hit the golf ball no matter where it is, right? No matter if it's in the middle of the fairway on the short grass, it's in the thick grass, it's next to a tree, it's in the sand, right? It does not matter. You have to play that ball where it lies. And the reason why that's the topic of this call, because that's how it is in life, right? Most people are not served a silver spoon. You're going to have to just play it where it lies. Guess what? Some of you on this call right now are in life sitting in the middle of the fairway. And all you have to do is get out a nice, easy club and hit it right on the green for financial freedom. You got an easy shot in. But there's other people on this call that maybe don't have it as easy. Maybe you're in the thick grass. Maybe you're behind a freaking tree, and if you're going to swing as hard as you can at that thing, the ball's going straight backwards behind you, right? Or if maybe you're in the sand, and if you swing hard at that thing, it's staying right in the sand because you don't know how to hit it out of the sand. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because you have to realize that life's not fair, right? Life's not fair. Not everybody's going to be in this business in the same situation. You may be in a worse situation than anybody else. But guess what? You still have to play it where it lies. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Are you going to stop yourself and give up just because you're behind a tree and somebody else is in the fairway? Right? Sure, they might get to the finish line. They may get their ball in the hole faster than you do. But isn't the point to just get the ball in the hole? And then you finish. You're done. And so that's my point, guys, is that if you want to win in life, you're going to have to come to grips with the fact that you have to play it where it lies. And guess what? Even when you hit that ball, say you're in a perfect situation, say you're in the short grass and you got a perfect shot right in front of you, you may mess it up. You might mess it up and put it right in the sand. And guess what? Now you're in the sand, and what do you have to do? Play it where it lies. It's never going to work 100% of the time the way you want it to. That would be amazing if it did. But I promise you, all of these successful entrepreneurs that you guys follow and watch and listen to, they all have gone through trials and tribulations where they said, well, this sucks, but I got to play it where it lies. And so I'm going to go through my story with you guys and share some very real, raw, and vulnerable things with you guys that, I don't really share with people. And so if you're okay with me being real and raw on this call, I want you to type some 7s in the chat. Because I don't share this stuff, really with my team. I very rarely share it with, even my top leaders. This is, personal stuff that I want to share with you guys because I want to see you guys level up, right? I want you to be able to learn from the mistakes that I've made. I want you to be able to learn from the last 7.5 years that I've had in this industry around some of the greatest to ever do it. And I want you to get to the finish line 10 times faster than me. I want you to get there way, way faster, right? It took me, 5 to 6 years in this industry to get to a full-time income. where I was good, right? $5,000 a month. And it was great. But you guys got to understand that if you follow what these people are telling you to do, right? If you follow my mentorship, you follow Tyler Sorensen's mentorship, you follow Joey Wilson's mentorship, you follow Alex Morton's mentorship, realize it took them a certain amount of time to get to where they're at. And if you do exactly what they do at a faster rate, you can collapse timeframes. So I want you to listen to what I'm going to tell you on this call, but I want you to go through, make these mistakes. I want you to do these actions. I want you to, have 10 times more excitement. I want you to do everything that I'm about to tell you that I did, but I want you to do it at an even higher level. Because if you do that, you can collapse timeframes and you can get there faster than I did. And so from the beginning, right, just so you guys understand where I was at, you guys hear it, maybe on the overview call, you guys hear where I started, I am. But for those of you that don't know, I was in a different network marketing company prior to I am. And so I got started with that company when I was 18 years old. So I had just before that dropped out of college. All right. So in April of 2014, I figured out that college was not for me. And I started hanging around the wrong people. I started doing things that I shouldn't do and just got myself in a lot of trouble. I found myself broke. I found myself, living in my car. And I didn't know what to do with my life. I really didn't. I'll be honest with you guys. I was blessed to have a very good childhood, right? Both my parents are very successful entrepreneurs. I had that entrepreneur itch from when I was a young age. They didn't want me to follow their path of dropping out of college and becoming entrepreneurs. They wanted me to, do what everybody else was doing. And they couldn't stop what was in my blood, which was, being an entrepreneur. I'd watch both of them do it. Maybe it wasn't in my blood, but I watched both my parents be entrepreneurs. I was like, you know what, that's what I want to do too. And so from a young age, that was always what I wanted to do. And so I dropped out of college and, I made a lot of bad decisions. Just like I said, hanging around the wrong people, and ended up, like I said, living in my car. There was points, where it was negative 30 degrees out and I had 3 blankets, over my head covering me just so, I would tuck it in under my sides, and I'm in the back of my truck, making sure the cold air didn't seep in. And it didn't work, on those negative 30-degree nights. I was cold, and I'd wake up at 2:00 in the morning, shivering, cold as hell. And, there was one night I remember I woke up, I was like, I can't do it. I can't stay in my car for, another few hours before going into the gym. And so I drove to a 24-hour McDonald's, and, I accidentally fell asleep on one of the benches, and I had one of the workers come up and tell me if I didn't get out, they were going to call the cops. And so I drove my car back to the gym, which was a 24-hour gym. And I walked into the gym and I laid down on one of the bench press benches with my arms over the top of it. And I just fell asleep like that on one of the bench presses. And, I slept there for maybe like an hour until somebody kicked my foot, and they're like, "You good, dude?" And I was like, yeah, I'm good. And that was my life. That was my life for 6 months. Before I got introduced to network marketing. And so I got introduced to this industry by a person that I didn't really know very well. I just kind of heard of him. He was also in kind of the gymnastics, tumbling, cheerleading scene. He was coaching, and, but he had been an entrepreneur for a little bit. So I was friends with him on Facebook, but I didn't really know him at all. And so he hit me up, and we connected, met at Starbucks. He showed me a 12-minute video of the business. And I was like, this can't be real. This is the coolest thing I've ever seen, right? I was so excited, and I didn't have the money to get started. I honestly didn't. I was living in my car, and I told him that. I'm like, dude, I don't got the money, but I want to do this thing. And he said, well, when you got the money, let me know. And so the next day, I had a laundry basket of clothes in my trunk of the truck that I was sleeping in. And basically I took that basket of clothes and I took it into Plato's Closet, which is like a clothing resale store. and I sold almost all the clothes that were in that laundry basket, the ones that they would take. I had, a pair of basketball shoes that were probably worth a lot of money, but I just needed the quick cash, and I sold them to Plato's Closet for literally $40. And I ended up getting, the money that I needed to get started just by selling a bunch of stuff that I had. I literally had nothing after that. And so I called that dude up the next day and I said, hey, I got the money. And I got started, and the rest is history, guys. I've been through some crazy, crazy things to, make this business work. Every obstacle that you can probably think of, I've been through. And I'm going to just share a few of them. When I got started, you guys probably have the same thing going on with yourself right now. But when I got started, I got promoted a training event, right? It was one of the first things they told me. They said, hey, you got to be at this training event. There's with two really high class speakers. They're making a lot of money. They're going to teach you how to crush this business. And I was like, all right, well, when is it? And they said August 16th. I was like, oh, that's my birthday. And so the first training I ever got promoted, like somebody promoted to me and told me about, it was on my birthday. And I didn't know anything about this industry. I didn't know what I was doing, but I said, you know what? It doesn't matter that it's my birthday, right? If I'm truly going to win in life, I'm going to have to make sacrifices. And so I made the decision to go. So the first network marketing training I ever went to was on my birthday. And it was probably one of the coolest experiences of my life. I was so fired up about what was going on, and the fact that I could help people, live a better life. The fact that I was learning things that were going to grow myself. I was surrounded around people that were just excited to win. It was one of the coolest things I'd ever seen. And so it was really at that event that my belief grew 10 times where it was at. And I just started going crazy with this thing. And what I mean by going crazy was I was verbally vomiting on a lot of people. And so I slowly learned that doesn't work when you try to like verbally vomit over a text message or a phone call. You can try to explain the whole presentation to somebody. It did not work. But the point was I was excited, and I did get a few people to sign up, which was cool. But I'll tell you this, soon after that event, they promoted another event. And I'll tell you this, it was 90 days between August 16th, my birthday, and the next event. It was about 90 days. And they told me that the event was in Atlanta. Okay. And some of you have maybe heard this story before, but I literally had no money. I was still living in my car. I had nothing, and I didn't know how I was going to get to that event. And I was actually thinking about not going. I was just like, I don't even know if this is possible. Obviously, I can put people in, right? I can sign people up to get paid, but it isn't really going the way I wanted to. I've been in for 2 months now, and I've only put in 3 people. Like, how am I going to, make enough money for a $400 event ticket and then get down to Atlanta, pay for a hotel? It's just, I don't even know how I'm going to do this. And it was crazy. I ended up, for my birthday, I got a card from my mom. Okay. And mind you, I was homeless, right? So she sent the card to a place where I was previously living. And so I didn't get the card on my birthday. And so, but that card eventually made its way to me. I think, my dad had kicked me out, so me and him weren't talking. He ended up giving the card to somebody, gave it to somebody, ended up getting it to me, right? And so the card made it to my hands, and I opened the card. It was an awesome birthday card, but I opened it up, and there was $400 in that birthday card. And I broke down crying because the event ticket was exactly $400 to go. And so I spent every single dollar, all of that $400 immediately. I put it in my bank and bought the ticket. I was back at $0 because I was like, if I don't buy this ticket right now, I'm not going to go. I'm going to figure out how to spend this money on something else. I'm going to buy this ticket right now, and I will figure out how to get down there. I will figure out the hotel and where I'm going to stay. But for right now, I'm going to just buy this thing. And so I know there's some of you probably that have gotten promoted the West Palm Beach event that's coming up March 10th to 12th. And you're in the same situation I was in. And you just have to take that leap of faith, because I didn't really know what this big event was about. but they told me there was going to be 7 or 8,000 people there, and that I was going to hear from the top $1 million earners, in the company, in the industry, that were going to teach me the skill sets and everything that I needed to win. And I didn't even know if that was true, but I just trusted them. And I was like, you know what? If this event is what they're saying it is, then I need to be there. There's no way that I can miss this event, because if I really want to win with this thing, I have to learn that information that they're talking about. And so I bought the ticket. I figured out I was going to ride down. I was going to carpool with somebody. I figured out that I was going to stay on the floor of a hotel and that somebody had booked a room. And what ended up happening, though, was 2 weeks. I think it was 2 or 3 weeks before that event, I got a call from my dad. And I hadn't talked to my dad in a long time, so I knew that him calling me was probably something serious. And he called me and he told me that my cousin Zach had been shot and killed in the hood in Milwaukee here. And it was tough. This is a cousin of mine that I grew up with, that I went to his house. We played together every single weekend. And it was a really rough phone call. And what was even tougher was that my dad told me that the funeral was going to be the same weekend as that event that I had spent all of my money to go to. And so I had to, now make a very tough decision of, whether I was going to go to that funeral for my cousin or if I was going to go to this event. And, you guys could probably guess it. I went to the event, and I paid my respects to my cousin when I got home. But I went to that event, and it was one of the most life-changing experiences that I had ever been through. I mean, the information and the people I met and the growth as a person, my belief in myself, my belief in this industry, everything went through the roof. And if it wasn't for that event, I probably wouldn't be here, 7.5 years later. That event is what, really rooted me in this industry and made me understand that I could be anybody that I wanted to be, and that I could help a lot of people along the way if I took this thing seriously. And so, I just tell you guys that story because, there's going to be a lot of obstacles, like I said, that come your way. And you have to make the decision if this is something that's going to be important to you or not. What comes first. I was just watching a video by Grant Cardone. He owns, $2 billion in real estate. And he talks about in that video how his mom made a crucial mistake in putting him and his brothers and sisters first. He said, your kids don't come first. Your dreams do. Because if you don't put your dreams first, then your kids are going to suffer for the rest of their life. So by you putting your kids first, you're actually not putting them first, because you're not going to be able to give them the life that they deserve. You're not going to be able to give them everything that they want. And when I listened to that video, it was crazy, because that's the exact way that I think, right? Yes, I love my son to death. Yes, I want to give him everything that he deserves. But because of that, I'm going to have to put my dreams first most of the time, right? Yes, there's times where, I'm going to have to, sacrifice for an hour and be with my son and do what I need to do. But, I really understood that if I wanted to give my son the best life possible, that, I was going to have to make sacrifices, and that I was going to have to put my dreams first so that I can make sure he can have any dream that he wants to. Because a big part of making dreams come true is having the resources and tools to do it. And so if I can put myself in a position where I make my dreams a reality and can make my son's dreams 10 times easier to get because I have the resources and tools to do it, then I'm going to do that. Right. And that doesn't just apply to parents. That applies to everybody. You have to put your dreams first. See, some of you want to help your mom and your dad and your family, but how are you supposed to do that if you're not putting your dreams first? If you're not doing what it takes to win for you first. Some of you guys have probably heard this saying, you can't pour into somebody's cup if your cup is empty. Some of you, your cup is empty. You haven't been filling it with personal development, with going to the events, with talking to a leader, with doing the things that you need to do in order to win. You haven't been filling your cup. And so now you're trying to pour into other people's cups, and you can't do it because there's nothing in yours. You have to put yourself first, right? You have to be selfish in order to be selfless. And that's what I did by going to that event. And you know what ended up happening after that event? 6 months later, I was making a full-time income, and I was the youngest person in Wisconsin to hit the rank that I did. It was May of 2015. I'd now been in for about 9 months, 10 months. And I wasn't making anything crazy. I think the first 6 months in this industry, I made like $200. And month 7, I made $200 alone. Month 8, I made about $500. Month 9, I made about $1,000. Month 10, $1,500. 11 was about $1,500, and it went up from there. And it was crazy because I went from living in my car to, I actually had some money coming in, and it was actually refreshing to not have to be like on a chokehold trying to figure out where I was gonna buy my food from. There was weeks where I put in one person, so I got a $20 commission, and I had to somehow figure out how to spend $20 for the whole week for food. Right? I'd buy like a $1 loaf of bread, and the combined peanut butter and jelly, and like the cheapest fruit that they had. And so I just did whatever it took to get by, but that's how I was living. And so it was a breath of fresh air to actually start making some money. But it took me, going through the crap for a long time. I'm talking about 7, 8 months, literally having nothing but a couple outfits, my truck, and barely being able to put gas in that truck just to get around to the meetings and showing people and doing what it took to win in my business. And all of a sudden it flipped, and I understood that I could win at a high level in this business. And here's what's crazy, guys, is that even when you win, you're going to go through the downfalls. And the reason why is because in order for you to hit the next level in your life, you have to become the next level of yourself. So some of you, are on this call right now. Maybe you're not even ranked and you're pushing for P150 or P600. Well, understand that there's lessons that you need to learn in order to hit P150 and P600. You got to become the person that deserves that rank. There's P150s, P600s on this call that are pushing for P1000, P2000, but you haven't picked up a book in a month. You haven't listened to an audio in a week. You haven't called your leader or spent time with them in 2 weeks. How do you expect to go hit P1000, P2000 if you're not constantly asking for advice, if you're not constantly growing yourself into the person that you need to be in order to hit that next rank? And so understand there's always going to be trials and tribulations because there's going to be lessons that God needs to teach you in order to go hit that next level, right? And so don't be upset that when you win, you get a pullback, and then you win again and you get a pullback. I actually drew this out for somebody on my team and I sent it to them because it's so funny. Like, this is what people think their journey to success should look like, right? And yes, I'll tell you this, it should constantly be on and up. If it's not constantly, I know this is kind of hard to see. There we go. This light is going to kill me. Hopefully you guys can see the paper. So if come on, work for me. There we go. So if your success is not constantly on an uptrend, right? It's moving in the upward direction. If it's going up and then it goes down and then it goes up and then it goes down, you're doing something wrong. You're not listening to your mentor. You're not putting in the actions. You're doing something wrong. Because it should constantly, yes, you're going to have ups and downs, but it should constantly be moving upward. Okay. But here's my point of it. Even though it's constantly moving upward, there's going to be little pullbacks in your business. Okay. There's going to be times where you're going up and you get a little bit of a pullback. You're going up and you get a little bit of a pullback. You're going up, you get a little bit of a retracement. I want you guys to remember this. Do not mistake a pullback for a downtrend. Write that down. Do not mistake a pullback for a downtrend. Just because you're going through a trial or a tribulation or an obstacle that is forcing your business and your life to kind of pull back a little bit, don't think that you are on a downtrend, that now just everything's going to the ground and you're going to lose everything. No, it's just a little pullback to teach you a lesson. Look for the lesson in the pullback. Look for the lesson that you need to learn so your business can start moving back up again, so your life can start moving back up again, because that's how you're going to get through it. And so every time that I've had a big success, see, my business started with a giant pullback. I started in network marketing just at the lowest point that you could be at. And I started to win. 9 months in, I started to win in network marketing. And guess what happened? I got an ego. I thought that I knew it all. I thought that I didn't need mentorship anymore. I knew better than the person that signed me up. I stopped doing a lot of personal development. I stopped doing all the calls that, I was doing to get to where I was at. I remember to get to where I was at, I was doing 5 to 10 presentations a day. And then when I got to 1,500 a month, I was like, yeah, I don't need to do that presentation. I don't need to do that call. All right, I already know everything. I don't need to call my mentor. I don't need to ask them questions. I got an ego. And so people with egos get humble. And I got humbled very, very quickly. I lost, I built an organization to probably about 120 people. And I lost about 2/3 of my organization in the next 6 months following. So then I was back to square one, where it was like, all right, well, I built up this massive team. I lost 2/3 of it. I'm back to almost no money, and I got to figure out how to get paid, right? And so I started figuring out how to move forward with my business by being humble, right? Asking the right questions, figuring out how to be a good leader, helping everybody that needs to be helped. No matter, if I'm busy or not, I'm figuring out how I can help my team, how I can put them first. Right now that I've figured out how to do this thing, I'm going to make sure that they can figure out how to do this thing. And when that started to help, and when I started to think with that, selfless mentality, because I had been selfish for the first year, now I was able to help other people grow, and I was able to help them get to the next level in their business. And about a year and a half in to my journey, I went to another big event. Okay. So it was probably my 5th big event that I had ever been to. There was there had to be 12 to 15,000 people in a giant convention center down in Orlando. And it was absolutely electric. It was one of the coolest experiences I've ever had. The company rented out Epcot, and we got to walk around Epcot, and Magic Kingdom literally had the whole park just to us, just to ourselves. They had private catering that were giving us like ice cream and mac and cheese balls. It was one of the coolest things ever, right? And that event, I remember going to that event with 10 people on my team. I went to that event with 10 people on my team. We all got the tools and the knowledge that we needed to win. And at that event, I huddled up my team and I said, look, I'm going on a 90-day run. I'm going to go harder than I've ever gone before. See, I'd been in a year and a half, but I'd never made the decision to go on a 90-day blitz. A 90-day blitz is where you literally go blackout. Nothing in your life matters. If a friend calls you to hang out, buzz off. If your family asks you to come to a birthday party or a function, kick rocks, right? Like, it's literally blackout. Like, nothing matters but this business for 90 days. That's what a 90-day blitz is. And I decided to do that coming out of that event. And so I told my team that I was there with, I said, look, I'm going on a 90-day run. Blackout season for me. All I'm going to be doing is showing people, doing calls, helping my team, and growing myself. If anybody asks for my time, I'll be here to help you with your business. But if it's about hanging out, anything outside of the business, I'm not doing it. And you guys can come with me on this run, or you can watch me. But I'm going to go on this 90-day run, get to the next level in my life. And if you guys want to roll with, cool. If not, no worries. Sayonara. And what ended up happening, there was a few, everybody said at the event, they're like, oh yeah, we're coming with you. But there was only a few that actually made that decision and really did it with me. And me and those few people that made the decision to go all in at that event, We ended up putting in about 200 people in a matter of 90 days. And I hit the next rank literally the day before the next convention. It was in Arizona. And I walked stage in front of 15,000 people. I got to say my name on stage, got to shake the CEO's hand. And it was one of the coolest things ever. Just to know that, I put in all that hard work for 90 days, went blackout season, literally didn't worry about anything, and it paid off. And then another obstacle hit. Um, and so this one was a big one. I had walked stage for director in Arizona. That was, a pretty big rank. It was about, $2,000 to $4,000 a month in that company at that level. And I came home from Arizona Monday night. I got in at about, midnight. I went to sleep on my buddy's couch. I still didn't have a place to live. But I had started talking to this girl, and, we kind of hit it off. And I got home from the event, and she texted me the next morning a picture of a pregnancy test, and it was positive. And so I didn't have a place to live. I was barely making, full-time income with this business. And I had a lot of people that needed my help. And all of a sudden, I find out I'm going to be a dad at 20 years old. I was 20 years old. And so I was scared. I was very, very scared. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know really what even to think, other than I need to go hit the next rank very, very quickly. And so I started working my butt off. I worked my butt off very, very hard. And what ended up happening, I told you I was going to be real and raw with you guys. So I want you guys to type sevens in the chat if I can be real and raw with you. Type sevens in the chat again. Because this part was painful. I had somebody on my team who, didn't necessarily agree with who I was as a person, in that company. I had said some mean things to them because they had said some mean things to me. Like I said, we make mistakes. And so basically, they filed a harassment case against me, and they won the case. I said some mean things to them, and they sent that report into the company. They got me kicked out of the company completely. I had lost my entire business because I said one bad thing to somebody. And I tell you guys this because I don't really care what it makes you think of me, but I want you to learn a lesson from this. It takes years to build your character, and it takes 5 seconds to destroy it. Years to build your character and 5 seconds to destroy it. So realize that you have to just do the right thing all the time, because that one decision, that one word, that one mistake can come back to bite you in the butt and ruin everything that you've worked for. And so guess what? I built an organization where I had put in, 700 customers. I had 700 customers in my organization at that point in my business, and it was gone like that. And I had a kid on the way. No income, no business, nothing. And so I talked to one of the top earners in the company. He said the best case scenario was in 6 months, we can appeal and try to get you back in. And so for 6 months, I had to figure out how to make some money because I knew I had a kid coming. And so 6 months go by. I had my son. I was living in a really crappy apartment, like a crap hole apartment, really bad. And had my son, that's where, I had to first take care of him, was this really crappy apartment. I felt like just an awful father. And we sent in the appeal to get back in the company. They denied it. They said, no, we don't want you back in. We don't want somebody of, your personality to be associated with us. Basically just spit in my face. Another 6 months go by. They said, the top earner said again, he said, hey, well, we can appeal in another 6 months. And I'm thinking, well, might as well, we'll see what happens, whatever. So another 6 months go by. And, I'm enjoying being a father. I'm really making very little money. I'm broke still. and we send in the appeal. And I'm just thinking, there's no way that I'm going to get back in. It is what it is. And I get an email back, and they approve the appeal for me to come back to the company. But they said, you can't have your old spot back. You have to start from zero. And so I went back to work. I said, all right, if I can do it once, I can do it again. And I went to work. I put in 100 people in a matter of, 60 days, started making a little bit of money. And then, Joey, so you guys all know Joey Wilson, he was a part of the same company. And he's told this story before. The company just started to, make the wrong moves, the wrong decisions, launching wrong stuff that didn't make sense. They lost a lot of money. They had things happen overseas that weren't supposed to happen. And they stopped paying the leaders. They stopped doing the things that they should have done to keep people around. And so people just got frustrated. And that was when, so I'd been back in for about 9 months, and I watched Joey and a few other leaders leave to come to this trading company. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Why are they going over there? That's crazy. So I hit up Joey right when he left. I'm like, what are you up to? He sends me a video. It was IamExplained.com. And I watched this 12-minute video, and I was like, you know what? This is actually kind of dope. And I talked to some of the other leaders on the team, and they're all like, oh no, don't follow Joey. Don't follow these guys. They're scammers. The company's getting shut down. It's being investigated by the FBI. They're non-Christians. They're non-holy. Don't follow those people. They're terrible people. This is what I was getting told by my leaders. So I was like, all right, well, I'll stick around. 6 months go by. 6 months go by, and I watched Joey go from nothing to $12,000 a month in those 6 months. He built an organization of almost 1,000 people in those 6 months. And I, in those 6 months, made $0 from that company. So I'm sitting there like, all right, they got to be up to something. So I shot him another message. I said, all right, dude, send me that video again. I want to check this thing out for real. And he sent me the video, and it's funny because I was in the same exact position. I was making no money. So I actually went to coach gymnastics. That was the only thing I knew how to do. I was making no money. You guys hear the story. I was living in a 600 square foot apartment, crappy as hell. And he sends me that video. I have literally $250 to my name. And I told him when he sent me the video, I said, all right, I'm going to do this thing with you, but I don't have the money. And he's like, all right, well, let me know when you do. And so literally I went to bed that night. I woke up the next morning, and it was like a pile of bricks had just been dropped on my face. Like, yo, this is what you're supposed to do. And so I hit up Joey. I said, hey man, I'm in. He said, I thought you needed to find the money. And I said, I found it. Let's run. And I used every last dollar to get started. Me and him went to work. I started showing presentations like no other. I mean, I was scheduling Joey. I was putting Joey to work. We'll just say that. I mean, 3 to 5 presentations every single day. I said, Joey, I got another one to show. Joey, I got another one to show. Joey, I got another one to show. I was doing that every day. We jump on Zoom. He'd do the presentation. We'd lock him in. A few weeks go by. He's like, all right, man, you know how to do this. You rip the presentation. I'll share my story. So we started doing that. I hit platinum 150. I hit platinum 600. A few months in, I hit platinum 1000. And then I hit a wall. So again, more obstacles. And it came to a point where I had to figure out, my son was getting to an age where, he was very demanding of my time. He's a toddler. He's, 2 years old and very demanding. And I had to figure out how to, take care of him and build this business. And, I also wasn't making enough money to walk away from my job. So I was still working my job. And I'm just trying to figure out how to really wrap my head around everything and do this. And so a lot of confusion set in, a lot of self-doubt set in. I didn't know if I could do this. I was like, man, can I really do this thing again? I know I hit it big in that last company. I put 700 customers in, but I'm only at 30. I'm 6 months in and I'm only at 30 customers. Like, is this really going to happen for me? And I just had a lot of self-doubt. And I sat at P1000. I actually lost P1000 back to P600 for a long time. And September of 2019, so it's about a little over 2 years ago, we went to a convention, right? Big event. You guys notice I'm talking a lot about big events. See, big decisions are made at big events. Every time I went to a big event, a big decision was made, and it catapulted my business. So I went to the I Am convention in Dallas, September of 2019. There was one person on my team that came with me, and he's on the call right now. He's the co-host. His name's Matt Werner. And that dude's been with me since day one. I appreciate that guy more than anybody, because loyalty is something else. I could tear up right now talking about that dude because he means a lot to me. You know, even when I wanted to give up, he didn't want to give up, and he motivated me a lot to keep going. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. So, you know, I appreciate him for real, for sticking through this thing with me, and you know, and for believing in me, because, you know, we went through the trenches together. And you know, September 2019, we both made the decision to go to that event. And we heard from Alex Morton. We heard from Bob Proctor. We heard from David Emanitier. We heard from some of the most iconic entrepreneurs and motivational speakers in the world. And we learned about something called the subconscious and conscious mind, and paradigm shifts, and the law of attraction. And me and Werner were literally blown away by the information we were hearing. We're like, the law of attraction, what is this? This sounds amazing. And we went home, and we actually moved in together, and we started researching this stuff, watching more of Bob Proctor and Alex Morton and them talking about the law of attraction. We started applying it to our life. We even came out of that Dallas event. We wrote down goal cards. And we said, I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm a platinum 1000. I'm so happy and grateful now I'm a platinum 2000. And we put the date on it. Matt put his, you know, I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm a platinum 1000. He was a P600. So I'm so happy and grateful I'm a platinum 1000. I believe it was September 25th, 2019. So about 2 weeks after the event. That dude hit P1000 a week after the event. 1 week after. Literally came out of that event with his hair on fire. I wrote down after the event, I walked into the event as a P600. I had lost P1000. And I wrote down, I said, I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm a platinum 2000 before October 15th, 2019. In a matter of 30 days, okay, I went from platinum 600 and I hit platinum 2000 October 13th, 2019, 2 days before I had written down on that goal card. And it was crazy. I realized at that moment how powerful my mind was, how powerful the law of attraction was. I'd realized why it had taken me so long to make for real money in this industry. And it was because I never had control of what was going on between my two ears. My brain, my mind was my biggest enemy for years in this industry. And I finally figured out that I had to keep control of this thing if I wanted to win. But that's easier said than done, right? Because life happens. The holidays hit. Nobody wanted to work. People started quitting, right? New Year came around, and all of a sudden there was this talks of this, you know, this virus going around. And we didn't know what was going to happen. So people were starting to save their money. Nobody wanted to sign up. And so what happened, I hit P2000 October 13th, 2019. And 4 months later, I had not only lost P2000, I lost P1000, and I lost P600. I was a platinum 150. So now I'm a year and a half into I Am. I'm 4.5 years into the industry, and I'm making $150 a month. $150 a month. I'm a platinum 150. It's February of 2020. And I was so pissed. I was pissed off. I was annoyed. I was like, for real? This is where I'm at in my life. I can't even afford to take care of my son. And I've been doing this thing forever. And so the self-doubt crept in again. And I had to pull myself out of one of the darkest places that I'd ever been. There was times, that I'd contemplated my life in that period. Nobody really knows about that, and I've gone through multiple, points in my life where I've experienced that. But I just didn't, I've wanted to win for so long that it was like, man, why am I even here? I've tried to win for so long and I can't do it. Why do I even keep going? And so I made one more decision. It was March 1st, 2020. I made one more decision. I said, that's it. That's it. I'm going to run with this thing until I can't run anymore. I'm either going to win with this thing or I'm going to die. And that's it. You're either going to see me at the top of the podium or you're going to see me dead somewhere from trying to get there. That decision was made March 1st, 2020. And we got locked down like March 15th, 2020. Like 2 weeks later, I'm like, yeah, let's go. Let's run. I start doing meetings, everything. All of a sudden, the whole world gets shut down. And it was the biggest blessing in disguise because I got into such a nasty, sickening, disciplined routine like nobody would believe. I mean, it got to the point where my son knew what we were doing every minute of the day. And he was only 3 years old. He knew what we were doing every minute of the day. We'd wake up, we'd watch a sermon, then we'd stretch, then we'd meditate, then we'd go on a walk, then we'd work out, then we'd eat. It was like just a crazy routine. We got dialed in. I would do meetings from noon to 10 p.m. And there were break times in there where we'd go for a walk. There was break times in there where he'd take a nap, where we'd have dinner. Like I had this crazy schedule completely mapped out and we got dialed in. And I went from platinum 150. I'd lost all these ranks down to platinum 150 and I got platinum 2000 back in 6 weeks. And the belief and the energy came back because I started taking action. See, so many people are waiting for something to happen to their life. They're like, yeah, I'm going to wait for this to happen and then I'll take action. I'm waiting for myself to feel like it and then I'll take action. No, motion creates emotion. So as soon as you start moving is when the belief is going to come back, when the energy is going to come back. Start taking action, doing what you know you need to do. You have to show the presentation all day long, as many times as you can, if you want to be a top earner in this industry. And so for me, that's what I started doing. I got from P150 back to P2000. The summer was a little bit slow, but we were still moving and grooving, right? I ended up moving into this giant apartment. It was a 3-bedroom apartment with 3 guys on my team. And we just grinded in there, literally all day, all night. I quit my job after the lockdown and I went all in with this thing. I said, I'm only making $2,000 a month, but I'm not making the mistake that I made last time. I got to $2,000 a month and I took my foot off the gas. I hit $2,000 a month again. I said, I'm going all in. There's no way I'm losing this thing. It's ride or die. And so we started cruising. We started putting people in like crazy. September came around, which is even a busier season. And we started to have new people join our team. September was when I met Jake Maldonado, September of 2020. Realized I've only known Jake Maldonado for, 15 months. This guy's become one of the biggest influential leaders on my team. And so that's a good key right there. Understand there's leaders. Some of your top leaders, they're going to be the biggest, highest producers in your organization, haven't even joined your business yet. I was in network marketing for 5 years before I found Jake Maldonado. I was with IM for 2 years before I found Jake Maldonado. And once he joined, we went crazy. I locked arms with that dude. He called me 7 times a day. We started flying people in the system. And as soon as he started putting a bunch of people in the system, that attracted other leaders. I started signing up other leaders from all over the state. And they wanted to go hit ranks. We had P1000s popping in 7 weeks all over the place. Ulysses Reyes hit P1000 6 weeks. We had a bunch of other leaders that hit P1000 in literally less than 2 months. And all of a sudden, I'm like, wow, P5000 is right there. It's right there. I'm in the teens. And over the holidays, I literally was teens away. I mean, I was like 18 or 19 away from P5000 when Christmas hit. And I didn't see anybody on Christmas. I said, screw it, I'm working. And I sent out about 500 messages on Christmas. I was showing people, ripping phone calls. I put 6 people in the system just on Christmas Day. And literally a week later, I hit Platinum 5000. It was right after the new year. I hit Platinum 5000. We took a team trip to Mexico. It's one of the most fun things we've ever done. We launched a giant promo, and over the next, 6 months, my team doubled. So I hit P5000, and then over the next 5 or 6 months, we were cruising. We did big events. I was going on tour. I went on a tour where I went from Milwaukee to the Dells, Milwaukee, Madison, Dells, Wausau, Minneapolis, flew to Denver, did an event in Denver, did an event in Chicago, flew to Chicago, then flew back to Milwaukee and did another event in Milwaukee. I did a giant tour on that run, and, we just went crazy, and we doubled the organization, and I got inches from chairman. And when I'm saying inches, guys, I'm talking inches from chairman. Like, I could taste it. I was right there. And again, made some mistakes, said the wrong things to some people, and lost some leaders, lost people that couldn't take the heat. Summer had kind of hit, so it was a little bit slower. And what ended up happening over this last summer, okay, this was about 8 months ago, my organization got cut in half, right, just over the summer. So I went from inches from chairman to literally clawing myself into P5 every week. Every week when the pay period hit, I'm like clawing my way to stay over P5, to stay over P5000. That's where I was at last summer, literally inches from chairman to all of a sudden trying to claw for my P5K check, right? And trying to find new leaders that want to go run with this thing. And again, after the dust settled, we made another decision. December, literally 2 months ago, we were watching GoPro in my living room. It was Maldo, Alan, Landon. We were all sitting here watching literally guys that are making $10 million, that have made $20 to $30 million in their lifetime in network marketing, teaching us the most important things that you need to know in order to build a massive organization with this thing. And the decision was made right then and there. I said, I'm going nuts with this thing. So it was a combination of, we had a convention in Texas, November 5th, and then GoPro December 4th or 5th. So those 2 events, I made another big decision that chairman was getting done. From November 15th, I want you to listen to this. From November 15th to right now, about 60 days, our Breadwinners organization has put in over 200 customers. From convention, a little after convention, to right now, the Breadwinners organization has put in a little over 200 customers. And we're creeping back to chairman. Chairman will be done here very, very soon. And so, first and foremost, I want you guys to type in the chat if you guys got some value from my story and how I've gotten to this point where I'm at right now. I want you guys to type in the chat. You can type some 3s, you can type fire emojis, you can type whatever in the chat. But I want you guys just to type in the chat if you guys got some value, from my story and me sharing that with you. And really the point of me telling you everything that I told you is that I want you to realize that I'm not perfect. I'll never be perfect. I've made mistakes, and I'm as real as it gets, right? I will always be real. I'll always be honest. And I always tell people what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. And so I want you guys to just realize that you're going to go through pullbacks. You're going to go through the obstacles. But guess what? God puts his toughest soldiers through the biggest obstacles because he knows that they're meant for greatness. So if you want to do anything big or significant in your life, you have to realize that it's going to take you going through the shit, right? Excuse my language. But you're going to have to go through it over and over and over. Because guess what? In order to make $1 million a year, you know how much garbage you got to go through and learn? Joey Wilson. Some of you guys see Joey Wilson. If I had Joey Wilson get on this call and share his story with you guys, you wouldn't even believe. You thought my story was crazy. You wouldn't believe some of the things that have happened to this dude to get to where he's at. Over $1 million in commissions the last 12 months. Why? Because he went through the crap and he decided to keep going and keep taking action. Here's the biggest key of it all, guys. Keep taking action. There's an acronym that I learned very early on in my network marketing career. And I was very glad that somebody told me this, because I don't know if my mindset would have been in the right place to get through all of the things that I went through if I didn't know this acronym. And the acronym is ACE. ACE. Stands for Action Cures Everything. If you're going through a rough point in your life, just remember ACE. Action cures everything. On the days that, believe it or not, there's days where I don't feel like myself. I'm human. And you know what happens when I start calling my team, when I start doing presentations, when I start taking action, the attitude and the mood that I had goes away. I'm instantly in a positive vibration. You know why? Because happiness is linked to progress. Progression equals happiness. If you're progressing towards a goal and you're doing what it takes to win, that is when you achieve happiness. It's the people that are literally stuck in the same spot, doing the same thing over and over for years, that end up in depression. You're not depressed. You're just unhappy with yourself because you're not going anywhere, right? So realize that action will always cure everything. And you have people, you have a team around you that's willing to help you win. So stay plugged into the campfire. If there's an event in your city, show up to it. I see the Colorado team out there all sitting together watching this call. I love it that y'all get together every single night almost. That's the campfire right there. Look at all those guys. Look at all the guys. Wait. Hold up. I'm going to spotlight you guys. I want you guys to get crazy. What up, y'all? Let's go. Let's go. All right, let me move spotlight. That's what it takes to win. Being around the campfire, being around people that want to see you win. We've got an event here in Milwaukee tomorrow night. Mo's Irish Pub. We get together every Thursday night. If you want to win, you're there. You're there every Thursday night. I know in Minnesota, they got some stuff going on. When they have events, be there. Chicago, be there. Wherever your market is. If you don't have an event, create an event. Create the campfire that people can plug into, where it's a positive culture, where you're listening to personal development on the TV, where you're trading together, where you're inviting people and showing people how they can move ahead in their life. Taking action and being around a campfire of people that want to win is how you are going to hit your goals 100% of the time. And it's going to get you through all of the bull crap that you're going to go through, that you have to go through in order to win. So just remember this, guys. You got to play it where it lies. No matter where your ball is at right now, it may not be in the greatest spot, or maybe you're in a great spot. Either way, you got to play it where it lies. And your next shot may not be the greatest. You may hit it in a bad spot again. And guess what? You still got to play it where it lies. And you just keep hitting the ball until you get it into the hole. And eventually you're done. You have financial freedom. You get to do what you want when you want, because you kept playing it where it lies instead of just giving up. Instead of just giving up. You played it where it lies, and you kept going, and you pushed forward. You kept taking action, and eventually you finished. So I appreciate you guys for hopping on here. I know it's a little bit longer of a call, but I'm glad you guys got to hear my entire story, learn from it. Hopefully you grow from it, and hopefully you apply some of the lessons that I've learned and you don't make the same mistakes that I do. See, that's the cool part. See, a smart man learns from his mistakes. A wise man learns from other people's mistakes. I love y'all. Have a good night. Peace.